Alright everybody, welcome back. So the Creator Clash was yesterday. As I'm sure a lot of you were aware of, the main fight was iDubbbz versus Dr. Mike. Now this was a fight that I've been pretty hyped for. This is an event that I've been pretty hyped for. I've talked about it twice. Once in my video where I talked about iDubbbz making the announcement, and then I talked about the whole Hassan and Sam Hyde drama and the fact that he wasn't going to be fighting. But for the most part, all the fights were fun. There were about 10 or 11 fights. I, for some reason, said that Hassan and Bo Burnham were going to fight. That was wrong. I don't know why I said that or exactly where I got it from. I know I got it off of Twitter, but I was wrong. I was wrong for saying that, and just wanted to throw that in. But yeah, so there was a lot of hype going into this. A lot of people were either staking their bets on Dr. Mike and iDubbbz. Personally, I was mostly excited for Harley's match. Harley from Epic Mealtime. He was going to be fighting Aaron Harlow, I want to say. Now, the reason I was mostly hyped for this was because he's being trained by Sam Hyde, and they released some really great hype videos surrounding that thing leading up to the event. And I was really intrigued to see what was happened, and I was not disappointed. But without further ado, let's get into the actual fights and what went down. So the first fight on the card was a guy named Dad, or Nathan Barnett, and he was fighting Matt Watson. This was a very quick fight. Dad dominated for literally I think it was maybe the first 20 seconds, and then it was stopped because Matt Watson was just out for the count, essentially, out there. And honestly, for all intents and purposes, it was probably a good stoppage, honestly, because he just didn't know what was going on. Well, after that fight, I had to get up and go eat, so I missed a couple of fights, and I caught highlights of the ones I missed. I saw that the fight right after the first one, the second one, was pretty much a slugfest. It looked pretty good from what I saw. I wasn't able to catch the full fight. And then there was that one black guy named DJ fighting that guy that I've seen on the H Street podcast. That's pretty much the only place I've seen him. And there were a couple other fights that I just couldn't see, but I did see the important Final 5 one. Now, the reason I say these are important is because they had the most impact online, and thankfully I was able to catch them, so I'm going to be talking about them. So, first of the Final 5 is Minx versus Haley, and I really enjoyed the fight. It wasn't super technical, but it showed a lot of heart from Minx and yodeling Haley. So, from what I saw, there was pretty much no defense. They both seemed to use the Rocky strategy and just tried to hit each other as much as they could until they fell down. Haley even looked scared at the end of the first round. She was clearly the better, technical-wise boxer, but Minx was just bigger than her, and she just kept laying the hands on her, and it was rough. And so yeah, and it got sloppier as it went on, as they both lost stamina. The third round started to get a little bit closer. Haley started to, get back into the fight. At one point, Minx took a breath, and Haley just froze up and just lost her shot completely. And from that point on, Minx just completely walked Haley down, just bap, 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 just laying shots on her. And then she walked away with the dub. The ref stopped, and that's where it ended. And she had a cool post-fight interview. She said that she would fight again, and we moved on to the next fight. So next up, we have Hundar versus AB. So this is a fight that I was actually pretty surprised by. In my original video, I pretty much said that Hundar would destroy AB, and I didn't take the whole weight class thing into account. In fact, Hundar said that he lost 19 pounds. AB said that he put on 10 to 15. So they were pretty much in the same range. Hundar was like 86 pounds over. but it wasn't anything insane. So it was actually a lot closer than it was originally said to be. They were really jumpy to begin with, and Hundar just was a complete killer, and he ended up getting the dub. Throughout the second, AB started getting sloppy. The third, it got really interesting, and AB went down, and then a few seconds later, Hundar went down, and I thought it was just going to be a fight, going the distance, and AB almost got dropped in the fourth, and then they went over it ended, so they were done. Then the fifth happened. Hundar landed a big one, and then just started hammering it, right? And so the ref stopped it, and at first I didn't like the stoppage because it looked like AB was still in it, but I can understand why they did it, because he was just landing shot after shot, Hundar was, and AB just kind of wasn't defending himself. And when you get into stuff like that, especially with these YouTubers who aren't trained boxers, even though they have been training, like, they can get really hurt, and you want to really err on the side of caution. So after that, we had Grant Stevens versus Michael Reeves. Now, this is a fight I was completely wrong about. I completely judged the book by its cover, and I was wrong. And Michael Reeves won. Here's how. There's a lot of jabs. Reeves hit him with a big right in the first, and that was pretty much it. In the second, Graham Steffens came out. And Steffens, I think that's how you say it. He came out, threw a couple of good combos, and then Reeves just started piecing them up. Just pat, 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 pat. Just I don't know why I'm giving sound effects, but yeah, I'm trying to help you visualize it. And the ref ended up stopping it because, Michael Reeves was just tearing Graham up, and I was completely wrong, and he won, and he won handily, and he was going to win if the ref didn't stop it, because he would have knocked him down easily. Even if Graham had somehow escaped what was going on that ended that fight there, he would have went down. Michael Reeves was clearly the better boxer. Now we got to the fight, like I said, I was most excited for. I expected Sam to be in Harley's corner. I almost said Hundar. Harley's corner, but he just wasn't. I don't know why. Maybe they were like, hey, Harley, it's cool that you're getting trained by Sam Hyde, but you can't bring him to the event. It's because iDubbbz and Nisa are kind of like weirdly afraid of Sam. It's so weird, but I'm not even going to get into all that. But yeah, didn't even matter who was in his corner at the end of the day, because Harley came out, was dominant, and was the best looking boxer from a technical sense from the first belt. He was just great, and he kept them up, kept Aaron off him, just hit him pretty much any time he wanted to. And so he won the first round easily, and they went into the second, and it was the same thing. Harley ended up getting him up on the rope and just started beating him up. There was at one point where he just started going easy on him because he was just winning so handily. He was just like, alright, I'm gonna chill out and not, beat you up and hurt you for literally no reason. And then the ref stopped it because he just kept landing this uppercut to the guy's face, and like I said, you don't want these people to get hurt. So then we moved on to the main event. Now, I think I had Dr. Mike winning, but I'm not sure. I have to go back and check. But Dr. Mike did end up winning pretty handily. It was from minute one. It's just like the Harley fight. You could tell who was the better boxer. But iDubbbz showed insane heart. I don't even think he went down once. Alright, he came close a couple times, and his legs got wobbly around the third. But iDubbbz just kept going at him and kept going at him. Now, a thing that I really did not like was in the second round, Dr. Mike decided, when they went to touch gloves, Dr. Mike decided to get a cheap shot at him. For what reason? You're handily beating this guy already, but yet you want to get a cheap shot at him. What was the point? What are you gaining here? Literally nothing. You just look like a bad person. For genuinely no reason. But whatever. I guess he had his own reasons for it. He looked good. People are saying that he had the potential to beat Jake. I don't know. Just because he hasn't like boxed like Jake has been boxing. But I think it would be an interesting opponent for Jake to have. I don't know why Jake would take the fight, since he's been like sort of moving up and he's like trying to box Kamaru Usman and Canelo, not like Dr. Mike on YouTube. So it would take a lot of convincing. The only way I could see a Jake Paul and Dr. Mike fight is if Jake Paul lost to like Canelo, or when he probably does lose to Canelo, then they'll fight, right? But until then, I don't see why Jake would take the fight. I see why Dr. Mike would want the fight, because duh, I mean, that just furthers your career. But yeah, as for iDubbbz, I don't know who he would fight next. It would be really interesting. I mean, honestly, you know, you give me a year, I'll fight him, okay? Because I'm sure that would give me a huge boost. Okay, I'll go in the gym and train for how long do you train for? 6 months. I can do that. I'm not going to though, so I can just make these claims and not back them up at all, and no one can disprove them. But anyway. In terms of what this all did for YouTube boxing, I think it really helped it out in the long run. We had a lot of trashy events and a lot of people just running into the ring, so it was nice to see this really well done event going to fruition. I'm sure all the fighters got paid. I doubt that'll be an issue. I think this is a great look for YouTube in general, not just YouTube boxing. I think it shows that like YouTubers aren't just all incompetent idiots. I really enjoyed the commentating from not only Charlie, but there's 2 other guys. I forget their name. Charlie was funny. I laughed at pretty much every joke he told, and he didn't tell too many. He was really behind Michael Reeves, and he was proven right. And after the ref stopped the fight, he was like, "I told you so, I told you so." And I mean, to be fair, he did tell us so. I think YouTube boxing is just going to improve from here on. I think this sets a new standard from what Logan Paul and KSI was. This is just something that can somehow keep improving. I really don't see how, but I know people will keep trying to improve it, and that'll be interesting to see throughout the year. So thank you all for watching. Goodbye.